Hope you had a great New Year's and a nice holiday. And did anybody get a chance to watch some football? Yeah. Was some good football this past weekend, huh? Great, great games. Listen. I'm a Giant fan, so I want everybody to check out the shoes. All right. Go New York. All right. Today is a big P&A session today. Now, it's very important that everyone that's here today, P&A. Now, you guys may be sitting out there saying, what in the world is he talking about? P&A. Those two initials, P and A, we use every day. All day, every day. Now, if you guys are P'ing and A'ing like you're supposed to, at the end of this day, you'll get something for it. So keep that in mind as we go through the program. P and A. It's up to you to figure out what it is and figure out if you're doing it. All right? I hope you guys enjoyed the retrospective, a trip down memory lane for the past year. We were showing those pictures before you came in, and the music that you were listening to was Spyro Gyra. Hope you guys like that, and we'll be hearing more during the breaks. But at this time, we're going to get the state of the college, and I'd like to bring our president, Dr. Gina Glickman, up to the stage.
Oh, my. Follow Keith. All right, Umesh. Where's the mouse? Okay, wait a minute. Here I am. My name's on here. Here we go. I got it. Yep. I'm good. So you probably noticed at the top of the agenda, is it NEASC or the Mayan calendar? December 21st, 2012, the end, you know. Actually, until the next cycle begins. But so unfortunately, it is December 21st, and it's not like March 21st, so that there is no visit. But there will be, and Joanne will talk to you about that in a little bit. Clearly, we've had a very busy semester. Just looking at the pictures over the last year, I'm thinking, oh my God, we are a busy college. There are some things that I want to talk about today, projects and initiatives that you've been working on. I'm going to go over a little bit on the budget, although not much has changed there. I want to talk a little bit about the Board of Regents and some federal changes that impact our students, and then finally some future directions. And I don't know who of you have heard about this, but Obama proclaimed January 2012 as National Mentoring Month. And so just a thank you to all of you who mentor our students, both formally and informally, every day. I've got some strategic initiatives up here. Let me get rid of this because it's jingling. As of Friday morning, I have enrollment from Friday morning, and then Peter gave me some enrollment updates for today. We're down about 6%. Is that right, Peter? Okay. Down about 11% in full-time, almost flat in part-time. It does have an impact on the budget, but Jim told me not to ruin the morning. So I won't talk about that. There is a system-wide group that's forming to discuss allowing students to register without prepayment. Makes me a little nervous, but apparently they're using it in New York, and given they have the Giants, and given they're apparently successful in the community colleges doing this, maybe it's not a bad model to follow. But I know there'll be discussions about that. I want to congratulate Rebecca Townsend and Endia de Cordova. MCC was named a National Issues Forum for Public Policy, and they have trained about 24 people to frame public issues discussions in Connecticut. That is through the Kettering Foundation, and they've done an incredible job with that, so I want to thank them. Great. Great Path Academy. You may have heard rumors, they're probably true. We had an RFP process this fall to find a management entity. Craig's contract expired at the end of June, and they were given a one-year extension per the agreement while we went out on an RFP process. And we have selected Hartford Public Schools as the management entity to provide operational oversight over Great Path. Hartford Public Schools Board has to ratify that. We hope that they will. If they don't, we'll start looking at some alternatives to managing the school. So I expect a positive outcome from Hartford Public Schools, and I'll notify everyone via email how that goes. In terms of security on campus, we have talked about arming our police department. That conversation went on for about a year and a half or so. The Board of Regents is going to be taking up that discussion sometime, I believe, this spring. The Leadership Institute is kicked off, and congratulations to Sandra Remetz and Deb Colucci. Apparently, sessions have been full, and so I'm really pleased that this is obviously something that's really important to this college community and that we're able to meet that need. There's going to be a sign-up station at lunch for those of you that are interested in some of the sessions that are upcoming. We have a 50th birthday celebration coming, the first class, fall 2000, the 50th year as of fall 2013, and Charlene is going to be leading that committee, the birthday committee, so anyone who's likes to celebrate birthdays, I'm sure she's going to be looking for volunteers. So all of the activities that we'll be doing will hopefully also pair with our fundraising initiatives. We have an energy program. Jim McDowell and Darlene Mancini-Brown have been working with DPW on it. We have contracted with an engineering firm. It hasn't cost us anything because apparently there's a special energy fund that the state has. So we had expected to spend those dollars. That would have been expensive for us, and we were very fortunate that we didn't have to do that. I want to also thank Endia and the crew that did the Economic Summit on Friday. Donna Waldron told me that we hit NBC News on Friday, which is always a good thing to have some positive news coverage. I also want to thank the group that's working on the Evening of Fine Wines, April 27th, our 20th year. So we have a goal of $200,000. Last year we raised $160,000. So people are really hard at work trying to get that going. NIASC, I won't say much about it. Joanne's going to be talking about it, but we are wrapping that up. And we're ramping up, too, for the visit that's coming. Main Street. Main Street, if you drive up and down Main Street in Manchester, you will see that the old Regal's department store awnings are gone. They have started renovations for what will be an art gallery, a couple of classrooms, a seminar room. Susan Klassen-Sullivan and Darlene Mancini-Brown have been working with the architects to design the space, and I want to thank Tashima Odoms, who has agreed to take on the programming responsibility for that space as well. So it's moving right along, and we hope that we'll have an opening in March. One of our cost-saving measures was to eliminate some of the EA positions, and one of them was the school nurse position, and she did a lot of health service things. And Duncan has been working with ECHN, so we will have rotating doctors and I believe nurses on campus in the GPA nursing suite to fill in that gap for us. So we'll have relatively low or no cost health care for our faculty and staff and students. We have a lot of other accomplishments. that have been going on all year. We have increased retention over the last couple of years. We're at about 81%, which is great news. Melanie's group and working with faculty, and I'm going to get some names wrong, but I know Catherine Seaver's been involved. We applied for a manufacturing enhancement grant for several $1,000,000 that the governor had set aside for job creation. There will be, the grant goes to the system, or I should say the central office. I've got to start calling it something other than the system so that I can differentiate in my mind. There will be 3 colleges chosen for those grant dollars, and we should know something by the end of January, I believe. And the telephone books are back. I mean, that's the most important part, right? So we've had some great successes, and one of the things that I want to talk about just briefly is the Communications Task Force, which comes out of both projections from the self-study and from conversations at the June Institute. Is that telling me my time is up? The communications covers such a broad scope, and the task force has met at least once, and they've settled on some goals to start examining some of the issues and concerns that have been raised. The committee members include representation from each of our academic divisions, from our classified staff, from CCPs, and from management. And so if there's a group that I've left out, please let me know. But you can see up here some of the goals that this group has. The other initiative that I wanted to show on a slide is wayfinding. I think I commented that last time that a student was asking me directions, and if it wasn't for Cliff, I would have been completely lost. This has been in the works for some time, and again, Darlene is taking the lead on this, and I know Charlene has worked on it and several other people. These are our exterior directional signs, and I think we're going to have this done by the summer. You'll see some, one of the most noticeable changes is an identification of both the east and west side of campus, some sort of street signs, new signage on, over some doorways. This is the exterior directional signs, and here you have interior directional signs. So at any given point, you should at least know where you are, if not where you're going. And this was part of the strategic planning, and these were part of strategic planning initiatives that we'd had. There's really no good transition here, but I'm going to go ahead, and I did mention that I wanted to talk a little bit about where we are with the budget. The numbers haven't changed. We've still got about $41 million. We've got about 1.8 in our reserve account. Obviously, we took a hit this year. It was about 5%. We expect we're going to take another hit of $700,000 or $800,000. Who knows for next year? We're looking at whether or not the Regents is going to come up with a new funding formula and just how soon. They are voting on Thursday, I believe there'll be a vote. There's at least a discussion to double the tuition increase for next fall, the second year of our 2-year budget. It was targeted to be 2.3%, and so it will probably very likely be over 5% for our students. And I think part of this for us depends on what's going to happen with our funding formula and what those extra dollars will give us in tuition. So we may do better than expected. Not sure about that, but I am going to talk a bit about the savings that the Board of Regents is talking about. We implemented some financial strategies. We are still moving forward with key initiatives in critical hires, even if it means spending down on reserves or adjusting some of our strategies. We said that we would refill vacant positions on a limited basis, most of which are occurring through retirements and reallocation of resources. We are moving ahead with filling 10 faculty slots. We are at about 32% of our credit hours taught by full-time faculty, and that's just atrocious. And we just can't continue that trend, so we're going to go ahead with those refills. I know we need support staff. One of the projections in the NEASC self-study is about our financial aid office and the number of applications and the number of staff that have an increase in the applications that have. Again, we will start to focus on some of those areas as well as we can afford to. We did say that we'd manage enrollment growth through the Extension Fund, and I'm very pleased to say that the Extension Fund seats are up by about 30%. That's good news for us because those are dollars that are currently not within our funding formula, so they're dollars we keep at the college. However, I also know that students are continually confused about the differential in tuition, so we're going to have to talk about how we communicate this to students, and depending on the funding formula, maybe that will change as well. We're going to continue to invest in our facilities and our technology infrastructure, and we do a lot of that with bond dollars. I do want to make mention, of course not in my notes, but it's probably coming along later in the program, that in terms of our technology infrastructure, Barry Grant's just done an amazing job leading the college in those initiatives and with the system office, and I think that there will be some substantial changes based on his leadership, which I'm just very grateful for. Again, I mentioned cost savings for the sustainability efforts with that energy audit. I'm going to flip now to the Board of Regents. I'm putting up some names here. I heard a name over the weekend that I didn't recognize at all that's going to be involved in some program approval process, so apparently they are really going great guns ahead with reallocating job responsibilities. You probably read in the paper that there were layoffs at our community college system office. Those savings of what is targeted to be $4.3 million over the next 2 years Bob Kennedy has said those dollars will be returned to all of the colleges, the 17 colleges in the Regent system, for faculty lines. I have heard that's probably, that's probably 1 to 2 faculty lines per college. I'm not sure how that distribution will go. The Regents are also re-examining all policies and procedures. I mentioned the program review process that's been simplified somewhat. Mike Miotti on this slide, I do want to mention that the system office, the new central office of the Board of Regents, is looking at what the mission is of the Board of Regents colleges, all 17 of them. And Mike is taking the lead to create this mission statement. There'll be conversations, I think, through June with various groups, and then a recommendation to go to the Regents in October. We have had, and I expect to have, a very smooth transition. We've already seen some distinct advantages. We have been getting some very positive results, I mentioned in IT, in hiring flexibility, and flexibility with positions. It's a general sense of enhanced autonomy. I think that we can look forward to new funding formula, and in IT, barcoding, I'm sure that's very exciting to most of you, student email, shopping cart technology, all the things that help us move forward. And again, thank you to Jim McDowell on the finance side and Barry Grant for their advocacy. At the last Board of Regents meeting, they're meeting again on Thursday, but the December meeting, Bob Kennedy did a presentation on 4 strategic priorities for the system. The first, that we will improve college readiness opportunities for students who are not prepared, that we will create seamless transfer opportunities between our public community colleges and a state university so that it's easier for students to complete their degrees, and that we will provide new ways to learn and teach in settings that foster entrepreneurism. He's also interested in creating linkages between the state higher education system and the private sector. The Regents are focused on increasing educational attainment, a stronger match between business and industry needs in our programs, shortening the time to degree, and graduation and certificate completion rates. all of these goals have a direct tie into everything we're already doing to our strategic goals and initiatives. We have our high school partnerships. We've got transfer articulation agreements. We're in very good shape in terms of the broader Regents goals. However, we do have some issues based on federal changes, and this is about affordability, which of course is one of our missions, and our goals is affordability and access for students. There are changes to the Pell Grant that are probably going to have some impact on that. I can say at least the dollars for students haven't changed for next year. We are fortunate that we do a lot in scholarship and tuition set-aside. Not all states do that. We give out about $2.5 million. But the changes are going to be harmful for students. One, it eliminates eligibility for less than half-time students and what the feds call ability to benefit students. It's not the same ability to benefit criteria that we're using in general about, prerequisites and that sort of thing. But it is the ability to benefit for students who don't have a high school diploma or GED. They will no longer be eligible. I'm not sure how it affects homeschooled students. It's a small percentage of community college students nationwide, maybe 1%, but I'm sure that we'll have some students, and I'm going to ask Yvette at some point to give us a better summary that she can send out on email. It does lower the income protection allowances from $30,000 to $15,000, and significantly it cuts eligibility from 18 to 12 semesters for a full-time student, which is prorated for part-timers. That doesn't have such an impact when they're here, but if they use up all of their semesters before they get to their baccalaureate institution, they could find themselves without access to Pell Grants in their senior year. And it also eliminates student loan interest subsidies during the grace period, which gave them about 6 months prior. At the same time, we hope to see some relief on reporting student graduation outcomes from the IPEDS data. That's the first-time full-time student that has, it's a very narrow group of our students. There was a national committee that was put together that made recommendations to the Federal Department of Education for changes, and that includes a single completion rate for students who receive a degree or certificate and then subsequently enroll in another institution. For us, it also is a combined graduation and transfer rate. That helps us in terms of how we define our mission. And prior, the IPEDS was done on 150% completion rate, so 3 years. It's going to move to 200% or 4 years, so that will also be significant for us. There is a recommendation on a separate cohort of developmental education students, and we are advocating on the federal level to get that changed. It's too, there's no common definition of a developmental student, and I think that part of it is the expense of educating developmental students is why that was put in there, but I think it's going to be very hard to define. So what does all this mean in terms of the completion agenda? I don't know how many of you had heard that term, but I believe it was created by the Obama administration, this idea of a completion agenda and completion rates. The national goal is to increase to 55% the proportion of 25 to 34-year-olds who hold an associate's degree or higher. And again, the new IPEDS metrics will help us better report our graduation rates in line with our mission. We already know that students who come to us college ready have a 24% graduation rate in 3 years, but students who begin in developmental math and English have a graduation rate of just 8%. That was pretty striking when David told me that. I think going from the 3 to 4 year rate's going to help us. I think it'll, the benchmark will change, so it's going to change nationally as well. So what that's going to look like, I'm not sure. I'm going to just put this, this is, the completion agenda is on everyone's mind in higher education. Every conference I go to, every discussion with legislators. And so I did want to spend just a little bit of time talking about this 2020 graduation education goal that Obama has said is critical to restoring America's global competitiveness and long-term growth in our economy. Everybody's getting in on the action. The College Board has recommendations, everything from early childhood to counseling to educator quality. The national foundations, the Lumina, the Gates, they're all funding completion agendas. And what's difficult for us is that we know that graduation is not necessarily the goal of our students. But we do want to help students complete their goals and complete their degrees if that indeed is their goal. This slide shows what the American Association of Community College recommends to increase degree and completion certification. And as you look at it, you can see, you can say, we do all of these things or most of these things. And so it's a matter of examining what we're doing and what outcome we're having on all of those things. There is an issue that is being raised by legislators across the country about performance-based productivity funding. It has gained some popularity in half a dozen, maybe dozen states. It has not gained as much popularity in Connecticut. And I do think that it'll be a focus of the legislature, probably not in this budget cycle, but maybe going forward. So I would like to say that it is and will continue to be a priority to focus on how we can retain students through their degree completion for those that are looking for that. And I think we've been doing just an excellent job with this agenda. I've got lots of examples, but I'm gonna move on, and I'm almost done. I think most importantly, we just need to stay on track. We are hitting all the right targets, all the right marks. We've faced and we will continue to face some external factors that impact our work, fiscal and organizational and otherwise. We have lots of guiding documents, our self-study, our strategic plan, departmental action plans, our facilities and educational master plan. I think we're having a greater voice in the future of higher education in Connecticut, and I think our self-study is going to help us as we move forward. Joanne is going to talk about those themes, so I'm not going to address them here. But our goal is to stay on track with the mission and the vital work that we do. And I'll end with this. Martin Luther King said that all labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence. And so I say to you that no matter what your role is here at the college, you all deserve all-star credit for the work that you do every day to improve the lives of our students in our community. I'd like to thank the Opening Day Committee for planning today's events and to thank all of you who are going to be offering workshops later this afternoon or later this morning. Have a great semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. And speaking of thank yous, before we move on, we got a few thank yous that we like to give out. First of all, me and my partner in crime, Mr. Michael W. Mitchell, Jr., would like to thank Gina for giving us the opportunity to MC this program. Thank you, Gina. And we would also like to thank Starbucks, Highland Park Market, and Lessons for the coffee and the continental breakfast that we got before we came in here, so let's give them a round. All right. That was some good stuff, huh? Yeah. Remember, P and A. Very, very important. Okay? It's nice to know we have a little reserve fund, too. Jim, I'll talk to you after. Now, moving on with the program, we'd like to get the Diversity Committee up here to present the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. Diversity Committee.
How's everybody doing? For those of you that were aware of it, the Martin Luther King Memorial was supposed to be dedicated during the month of August. We benefited here at MCC from the bad weather during that weekend, so they postponed the dedication of the memorial celebration until the weekend of October 16th. That day also happened to coincide with the anniversary of the Million Man March. Given the time of the year, the Cultural Programs Committee and the Livewire newspaper and the Student Government Association decided to send a bus. We had approximately 53 members of the MCC community attend the celebration. We left at 6 a.m., as you can see, and we returned to campus at the robust hour of 3:30 a.m. on Monday. I am happy to report that all the students made it to class that day, so we did not impact the academic side of the house. We have some of the participants, including two of our impressive students that are very engaged on campus and make life for everyone they interact with much better in their energy that they commit to this campus. With that, we're going to have three people speak, and then Professor Simmons is going to play while we show some of the photos from the trip. I'd like to introduce Mr. Jonathan Colon.
It's great to be back in the battle lines of classrooms with my fellow professors and teachers. I would like to welcome everybody to Manchester Community College to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's Day. On this day, we celebrate the great feats of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and what these great feats mean to you and I. So great these feats are to our country that a newly constructed memorial in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has been opened to the grand public in Washington, D.C. I'm humbled that I actually had the opportunity to see the memorial on the opening day, thanks to TJ and student activities. Although we did not arrive in time to see the speeches scheduled for that day, everything was justified by the impressive sight of the memorial and the cozy cloud of people circling the approximate area. Welcomed by this enthusiastic atmosphere, I moved along the path to the main structure, and accompanying this path lay a wall. This wall held quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself. And from these quotes, one can learn, as I did, what kind of man Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was. One quote read, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only light can do that." And the further I walked along this path, the further I learned how genuinely Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. loved us. And as this love kept building up in me, there stood the memorial of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself itself. The structure stood a handsomely big 30 feet, which suits Dr. Martin Luther King for his larger-than-life ideas and achievements. The face held a stony and comforting expression, and on the side of the statue read one last quote. It said, out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. Then on my left lay the mountain of despair itself. And looking at these two pieces, one can see the symbolic struggle of this man's dream for freedom. I think Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would be delighted to see that his desire of liberty and freedom for all is as lucid as his dream. And before I go, I'd just like to say to love one another, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted us to do. And thank you for this speech.
I'm Susan Garvey, and I was one of the small contingent of students that were the Livewire staff who went down to cover the story for our October 24th edition. And you may have encountered the others in some of your classes: Nathan Mayer, Lakia Leitner, Sally Ann Garvey, and Rich Carpenter, whose pictures you'll see very shortly on the screen. The trip was a great opportunity for us to talk with students who had come from Ohio, Alabama, and Tennessee, other places. We met a Connecticut Community College student from Bridgeport who is now going for an advanced degree in journalism in New York City. We interviewed students who had come from across town from Howard University. Most memorable to me was interviewing National Park Ranger Jeff Jones, and you'll see a picture of that interview shortly. He explained the artist's premise, and he pointed out that there are 16 quotations from speeches King gave in 1955, 1968, 1957, even the most famous speech from a cell in a Birmingham jail in 1963. But these speeches are not arranged in chronological order, because the artist's intent when she designed the monument was that no matter where you started, you would get an idea of Martin Luther King's ideals. And it was to encourage you to go and do further research, to actually get a copy of the speech and read the speech in its entirety, or better still, to get an audio version of the tape, because according to Jeff Jones, you really couldn't understand the speech to the degree that, unless you really listened to Martin Luther King Jr. give the speech. King's monument is unique. It's the only monument on the mall not dedicated to a president or a war. I followed Ranger Jones' advice, and I researched not only some of the quotations, which are about racial equality, but also about King's desire for an end to the Vietnam War and economic inequalities. The monument is unfinished, and Jeff Jones noted King's defiant posture. The monument is unfinished, like King's work, unfinished. I also listened to speeches from the dedication itself, which unfortunately we missed because of the travel. And I would recommend that you could also find them in the C-SPAN archives. If you get a chance, listen to the speeches, in particular given by Martin Luther King Jr.'s son and daughter. The son stresses that it is important not to remember King as an idol with bridges, roads, and monuments dedicated to him, but to remember King for his ideals, what he stood for. His daughter draws parallels between those who participated with her father in the March on Washington in 1963 and those who marched on Wall Street and occupied countless U.S. cities this year. We should never adjust to the 1% controlling more than 40% of the wealth. We should never adjust to an unprecedented number of people being unemployed, said Bernice King, noting that her father was planning a Poor People's March on Washington when he was gunned down in Memphis. I can hear my father say, "Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever." The yearning for freedom essentially manifests itself. I would also like to tell you, if you go down to see the monument yourself, it's really impressive at night, like all the monuments. And I would also like to tell you that when we got back at 3:30 a.m., we not only came for class the next day, we had a newspaper deadline to get that story on the front page. Thank you.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that I was one of the faculty chaperones on this particular trip. And it was an interesting experience for me because as teachers, we don't often get to see our students outside of the classroom, sitting in the back, texting under the desk where they think we can't see them. But I was very proud of our students. It was a long bus ride. We left early, as you can see. There was a long walk from where the bus was parked to the actual memorial. We got a little lost and a little turned around. And then we got stuck behind a barricade. The DC police had barricaded a bunch of people. So we had to kind of wait. And then when we were finally let in to see the memorial itself, there were a lot of other people who were there as well. But our students didn't kind of run around willy-nilly. They stood back and really took in the grandeur of the monument. I remember one student on the bus who I hadn't been familiar with before this trip just kind of turning to me and saying, "Isn't it gorge?" And I thought for a second, well, there's a valley over there, but I I don't see any gorge. And then I realized that she was doing one of those abbreviation slang things, short for gorgeous. So she was saying, isn't it gorgeous? And I thought, yeah, it is gorgeous. The white stone, the quotes around, there is a sense of sort of grandeur and peace, and as Susan alluded to before, an unfinished sense as well. And in fact, just a side note, one of the quotes, I don't know if you've heard in the past week, one of the quotes is actually going to be taken out and redone because it's taken out of context from one of King's speeches, and there's a general feeling that it doesn't give a full sense of exactly what he said, which I'm going to use in my journalism class to show that even things that are written in stone can get edited. For me personally, being there reminded me a great deal of my mother, who I remember in around 2004 when there was a campaign in Ebony magazine to raise money for the memorial. She actually sent a check, and I remember her saying to me, "Do you think it's actually ever going to happen?" And I said, well, yeah, all the time thinking in my mind, this is probably going to some slush fund in Nigeria or someplace. I don't know. But I'm so glad that I was wrong. Growing up in my home, our home was a lot like many African-American homes across the country. We had family photos, of course. We also had 3 additional pictures. There was a picture of Jesus, one of John F. Kennedy, and a photo of Martin Luther King, Jr. Now, in my life, I keep Jesus in my heart. JFK belongs in the history books, but thanks to this refrigerator magnet I bought while I was in D.C., Martin Luther King is also in my home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Simmons. Okay, just a quick note. Due to the weather, the SGA president is not here, but I do want to say something quickly about Alex. If you haven't heard the good news, Alex Teddy Jr. is not only the Student Government Association president of Manchester Community College, he was elected the chair of the Student Advisory Committee to the Board of Regents, so he is a sitting member of the Board of Regents. He is going to be here for the table. If you look at the schedule for the breakout sessions after, he will be over in low with the other SGA officers. I would invite the SGA officers in attendance to stand up so I can introduce them, please. We have Ms. Bettina Batson is the Vice President of the Student Government Association. Jonathan Colon, who you just heard from, is the Secretary of the Student Government Association and sitting on, I believe, what, 4 or 5 governance committees, Jonathan? Rachel Lima has just been appointed the Executive Senator 1, and Jonathan Meyer is the new Social Vice President. Thank you.
All right, let's give the committee another round of applause. That was some great stuff up there. Thank you so much. Listen, they didn't tell me about when people cancel out, you know, weather, stuff like that. So we got a big opening here. Yeah, I could talk about the game, but, you know, I don't know if we want to do that. But I'd like to share something with you guys since we're celebrating Martin Luther King and his dream that we're still working on, and hopefully one day we'll get it accomplished. But I had a dream too. Want to know what it was? Notice I said was, that's past tense. Yeah, I had a dream that one day I'd be standing up here on this stage talking to you guys. It took 27 years, but I'm here. And I'd like to thank y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, 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 thank you. Fantastic, fantastic. At this time, I'd like to take this time to have a moment of silence for those who are part of our MCC family that cannot be here with us today. So at this time, let's bow our heads and have a moment of silence. All right, thank you. Like I said, now we got a break in the program here. Do we go to break early? Okay, well, before you go, I need everyone to remember P and A. Y'all got that, right? P and A. And before we leave, I'd like to see if we can get some people that help plan this to stand up and take a bow. First of all, the MCC ambassadors, where are you guys at? Could you guys stand up, please? Ambassadors, raise your hand. Let us know who you are. All right, all right, all right. Okay. And the opening day planning committee. Anyone that was involved with this opening day planning committee, don't be shy, stand up. Now, Dave, come on, stand up, let's go. Stand up, everybody. Let us know who you are. Now for this next one, I may need your help to get this person to stand up. So let's see what happens. Bing, where are you? Bing say. Yes, we want to thank Bing. Yeah, I know everyone here is probably saying, hey, what did Bing have to do with this? Well, if you P&A, you'll know. Okay? So at this time, we're going to take a break.
I had a dream too, but it wasn't like Keith's, you know. It took him 28 years and it took me 11. It's an honor to be up here in front of all you people. I know I joke around a lot, and you guys are probably saying he's not nervous, but I'm scared. Nervous, very scared. At this time, we want to do the service awards, and we're going to have Dr. Glickman and Patricia Lindo come up and present the awards. You guys can clap. You want to come on up?
I can't do anything without her.
Good morning. Just trying to get everyone in order. All right, we're going to do the 10-year service award. Normally, Debbie Wilson does this, but she is also getting a service award, so I'm replacing Debbie this morning. So we'll start with the 10-year service award, Leonard Dupree Jr. And please hold your applause, and could all the awardees remain on stage, please? Just stay over here. Thank you. Barbara Fox. Lucy Hurston. Brian Martin. Sherry Pratt Totten. And now for the 15-year service award, Paula Angelotti. G. Duncan Harris. And my favorite math teacher, Mr. Michael Robillard. Michael Stepanovich. Cynthia Washburn. And Guasam Yang. And now for the 20-year service award, Hajira Haizimi. It is. Peter Harris. Wanda Haynes. Edward Hogan. Beverly Howland. Beverly Howland. Donna McCormick. Okay, 25 years. Wow. Robert Foley. Hold the bottom. John Kelly. Carol Lavanswick. Donna Lee Pitts. Angelo Masuri. Sharon Mills. Carl Ochno. Warren Olson. Grace Scolo. Stephen Strait. Deborah Wilson. And Deborah Woods. All right, let's give everyone a round of applause. 10, 15, 20, 25. Yay!
Wow, 25 years here. You must have seen a lot of stuff from East Campus and some other things, and parking lots move and entranceways move. Program centers disappear. That's just telling you how long I've been around here. Not that long. It's kind of hard to top what Keith just did with his sneakers and everything. And the bad thing about those sneakers is that me and my wife and I, we bought those as a Christmas joke one year, and it's just been haunting me ever since then. It keeps coming back, and it keeps coming back, but good luck, Giants, and I thought I'd never say it, but, you know, you guys deserve another one. You know, yeah. But back to the program. We're going to have Deb Wilson come up and, well, come from behind the scenes and introduce the new hires. So back to you, Deb.
Now that I have my clock, I don't want to leave the stage. It's nice to see everyone. I hope everyone's having a happy, healthy start to your new year. There have been a few changes since we last met. Randy Fournier, our library director, has left us for a dean's position in Virginia. And our systems manager, Adam Peacock, is leaving us to go back to school. And we have hired his replacement, Bill Valentine. Would you please stand? There were 4 retirements over the fall. Joan Jaquila, Cecilia Messier, Grace Scolo, who's back on a part-time basis, and Carol Sturdivant. We have 2 new full-time lecturers for the spring. In business, Malton Edwards. And in English, Cheyenne Seymour. And we have a full-time math redesign tutor, Rob Persons. With Tashima's halftime move to handling the MCC downtown, Aaron Peterson will pick up a full-time schedule for the semester. And in academic affairs, library and educational technology departments are being reorganized into the Library and Technology Center. Bonnie Reedinger, are you here, Bonnie? Please stand. Bonnie will serve as the interim director of the Learning and Technology Center for the spring semester. And we will also have an interim associate director of the library, Paula Cook. And now I'll take my clock and turn it back over to Mike.
Thanks, Deb. For our last awards, we have the Employees Excellent Awards, and they're going to be given by Dr. Glickman and Deb Colucci. Can we give them a hand?
Nobody knows. Well, you know. Where's the
Mouse is in there.
There we go. There's the mouse. Good morning. As you just heard, I'm up here on behalf of the Employee Recognition Committee, and I would like to start by thanking the committee for working incredibly hard this past year. Would the current and past members of the Employee Recognition Committee stand real quick? I won't read all your names. You know who you are. Rosa, Pam, Jean, Melissa, Carl, everyone. Just to give a quick background before we unveil these 2 awards, prior to the spring of 2009, MCC had the Alumni Association sponsored the Excellence in Teaching Award, so we're all familiar with that. And in the fall of 2010, the new Employee Recognition Committee, which is part of College Senate, became the home to that award. For 2011 and 2012, the committee has added a second recognition award. So now we have one for faculty and one is the Excellence in Service Award, which means that every single person who's employed by MCC is eligible for one of the 2 awards. The awards, the nominations can come from students, peers, colleagues, supervisors, alumni, and community members. And this year, with the help of our new online nomination process, thank you, Ray, we had an incredible increase in nominations. We had 80 people nominated for the Excellence in Teaching Award and 18 people nominated for the brand new Excellence in Service Award. There were also a number of people who received multiple awards. I know this may sound cliche, but, oh, that's Niask. That's what, I've not been reduced. Okay. But it is an honor just to be nominated. So obviously I'm not going to read through all 80 nominations, but these are the people who were nominated for the Excellence in Teaching Award. And the names that you see in red were people who were nominated more than once, perhaps more than twice, or even more than that. So the first award that we're going to present today, and I think we can finally take them out of the box. We've been working really hard to keep these a secret. And it's the one on top. Oh, you don't know. Don't know who you are, but you will.
I feel like I'm at the Golden Globes.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping everything a secret. Okay, according to the nomination, this person provides encouragement and challenges her students to stretch and grow. I often hear her voice in my head when I am solving a problem at my job. She made an impact on my success as a student, and that continues now that I am a practicing therapist. This year's Excellence in Teaching Award goes to Maggie Moriarty. Marcia Promise should be here. Again, we had 18 people nominated for the very first Excellence in Service Award, and I know that that is just going to continue to grow over the years. This person has helped me and others in the department to better appreciate the mission of the college. This is taken, again, directly from the nomination. She has not done this through huge actions that bring notoriety, but she has, in her everyday work, exhibited the understanding, leadership, and spirit of responsibility that makes MCC what it is today. And on behalf of the committee, we're proud to give the very first Excellence in Service Award to Grace Scolo. You don't even have to give a speech. Okay, back to Mike.
I need some tissue too. That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. She's been a nice lady ever since I've known her here too. She speaks to me in the morning, everything. Okay, we're gonna move along and do the NAS Ask update with Dr. Joanne Russell, Deans of that too. The Dean of Academic Affairs. You guys got to stop laughing.
I know why the program is moving so quickly. You're so anxious to hear about NEASC once again. And it is my privilege to update you with regard to our NEASC self-study. We've been working on this for almost 2 years now. A lot of you have been involved with the process, and many others have probably heard more about it than you want to for the next 10 years until our next reaccreditation. But we've passed some major milestones over the past 6 months. The committee presented the draft on fall opening day and solicited your input and feedback at an all-college meeting in September. Throughout the fall, we incorporated your comments and recommendations. Janine DeRusha and Mike DeRamo have been phenomenal editors, giving the document clarity and one voice. We are this close to sending the final version to the printer. This is what the front cover of the document looks like, thanks to the design expertise of Paula Rahm. You'll be able to get the final version off the website very soon. And the self-study describes us as a college evaluating itself from a position of strength. Dedicated faculty and staff who work together, an institution with well-reasoned and comprehensive plans for improving and moving forward, an institution undertaking the hard work to make that change happen. The self-study also emphasizes the major themes of our mission: access, excellence, and relevance, and also our core values: shared understanding, shared responsibility, and shared leadership. As we prepare for April 1st through 4th, when the visiting team comes, the hospitality team under Dr. Pam Mitchell-Crump's leadership will continue to work with the campus to prepare for their visit. Sue Barzatini has worked with Ray Kingston to design an electronic workroom to house all of our evidence. And we have designated A142 and A108 as the physical workrooms for the team while they're here on campus. We might be contacting you for documentation, reports of meetings or minutes from meetings, and other things to house in either the electronic workroom or the physical workroom. You can't see it very clearly from here, but the electronic workroom is very impressive and will become a repository for documents from this time forward. We met Dr. Sprague in December. He provided us with an overview of the visit and emphasized that the NEASC evaluation team is coming to confirm what's written in the self-study document, not to tell us what to do or how to do it. During an evaluation, the college's fulfillment of the standards is measured against its own mission, not missions of other colleges. The team is made up of 8 faculty, staff, and administrators, including Dr. Sprague. You'll notice that they all come from community colleges, so they'll have an understanding of our mission and the student population that we serve. Each individual on the team is assigned a primary standard to review according to his or her own expertise. So you'll notice that the standard on the library is evaluated by a librarian, and that a director of institutional research evaluates the standard on planning and evaluation. I'd like to review a sample schedule to provide you with an overview and an idea of what will happen during those days. The team will arrive late in the afternoon on Sunday, and it'll be the first time that they have an opportunity to meet together. They've been communicating by email before that time. They'll be hosted to dinner at our college on Sunday evening, and we are very fortunate to have our culinary staff planning and preparing this meal. I'm sure we'll get off to a wonderful start. On Monday morning, they'll meet with President Glickman and members of the Board of Regents. In general, NEASC teams meet with boards at some point during the visit, but this meeting is especially important because of the reorganization of higher education in Connecticut. This will help provide them a good understanding of what's occurred in this past year. Throughout the day, the team will split up and schedule meetings with various members of the college community, mainly directors and managers. There'll be also several group meetings scheduled, usually at lunchtime. The NEASC self-study team will split up into 2 groups. Some of them will go visit student leaders, and others will go visit faculty leaders. And then typically late in the afternoon, there's 3 separate meetings, one with faculty, one with staff, and one with students. Again, the team will split up and go to each of those groups. On Tuesday, there will be continued meetings and with members of the college community as the team continues to work on their report. And then on Wednesday, the team will meet first with President Glickman to give her an overview of what they'll be saying at the exit interview. And during an exit report, the team leader, Dr. Sprague, will talk about the general strengths and challenges that the team has observed during their time here. I'd like to just take a minute and provide some reflections from my perspective as an evaluator when I've served at teams on 2 other colleges. By Wednesday morning, each team member must write an accurate, specific draft about the standard they were assigned, citing evidence. So it's a very fast-paced time. Each evaluator comes from an imperfect college and knows that every college has areas that require improvement. The entire self-study process over the past 10 years has become less compliance-oriented and more directed towards continual improvement. One of the primary understandings the team has to come to early in the visit is a deep understanding of the mission and values of the institution. because that sets the framework for the report. If I were to walk onto our campus as an evaluator, I would be very aware of the passion and commitment to the mission by staff and faculty, and the desire we have to continually improve. This was actually voiced Friday as well at the Economic Summit. Dr. Kennedy, the president of the Board of Regents, voiced the same sentiment, that there is a vitality on this campus that is evident as soon as you walk through the door. I'm confident the team will have the same experience and will see the college in this way. There's lots of information in the 150 pages of the self-study document, and it doesn't do it justice to just summarize it in a few sentences. But if we had to, one is that there were a few surprises. You heard that from the team in the fall. When the narratives pointed out areas for improvement, they usually indicated concerns which with the larger community was already aware and had already been incorporated into our strategic planning. This made sense to us, not because we didn't look closely for areas that needed improvement, but because we as a college have become very adept at reflection, reassessment, and making plans to improve. Beginning with our NEASC, our MCC 2020 discussions, continuing to our search for a new president, to rewriting our mission statement, to building a new strategic plan, embedding action plans into the way we do business, we have been practicing and developing these skills as a college community for several years now. The themes on this slide are areas that we've been discussing and acting upon already. We are in the implementation phase of general education reform, preparing to launch the new general education core in the general studies and liberal arts degrees programs this fall. Both academic affairs and student affairs are more intentionally assessing student learning courses, programs, and co-curricular experiences. We continue to make significant impacts in the delivery of developmental education in order to increase student success. You'll have an opportunity to visit the new math lab at some point today. Faculty are developing new credit and credit-free programs to meet workforce needs. We are making changes in student advising and have implemented mentoring programs to improve student success. The self-study also projects new and emerging directions. Important and reflective of our culture is that we're not just waiting idly by for accreditation process to be over and then stop our work for another 10 years. Instead, we're pushing ahead, and your colleagues are working hard on some new initiatives. At Friday's Economic Summit, it was fascinating to hear the keynote speakers refer to student learning in contexts that we have discussed as a college. We heard from all the speakers on Friday that we need students who can learn how to learn. Bill Crawford, the president of Rockville Bank, stated that when he is hiring someone, he does not look at their training and their background content information. He looks at their ability to learn how to learn. Each speaker throughout the morning reiterated the importance of this from their perspectives. At MCC, we value the student learning that occurs in classes and co-curricular experiences, and our institutional learning goals were developed to foster a student's ability to learn how to learn. In a self-study process, though, we noted that the college community was more familiar with the strategic planning goals than the institutional learning goals that emerged from MCC 2020. We'll be increasing the visibility and communication of the learning goals and parameters for assessment. Academic affairs and student affairs have been aligning general education outcomes and student affairs standards to the goals to further clarify each goal. I won't spend any time now going into detail, but I'd like to share the results of these discussions. We have provided the details of how to meet each of the overarching goals. In addition to making the college learning goals more explicit, the themes of access and ability to benefit emerged in several standards of the self-study. These themes are part of a national conversation and were brought up by Doug Lederman on Friday. He's the editor of Inside Higher Ed. Because of the demand for community college product education, in the face of diminishing resources, some colleges are, by necessity, having to be choosier in their missions. These are very difficult conversations to have. We began them a year ago, but we must clarify the issues and be intentional as we move forward in planning. With regard to academic advising, Duncan and I will be charging a cross-divisional team of faculty and staff to conduct a self-study on academic advising using the CAS model, the Council for Academic Standards in Higher Education. The outcomes of the self-study will be used to modify the existing program to increase its effectiveness. We also want to explore additional measures of student success, especially to be able to identify, collect, and utilize data about what happens to students after they leave MCC so that we can use that data to improve learning. As a college, we are making intentional plans to meet student needs in the older adult market by offering more online programs and certificates. We will be launching the online general studies program this fall. The electronic workroom that we're populating as part of this self-study will serve as an important ongoing repository for documents. President Glickman will charge a President's Task Force to review some aspects of our internal governance, including the feasibility of creating a College Senate Executive Committee and concerns about academic Senate representation. As you heard from Debbie Wilson, we are merging educational technology and distance learning in the library as a step to achieving the learning commons envisioned in our educational master plan, a place where students, staff, and faculty are engaged in teaching and learning. We are vested in our colleagues, helping us to develop the college culture we want, sharing leadership, encouraging innovation, valuing diversity, and providing professional development. Our new Leadership Institute is offering college-wide professional development opportunities. With regard to communication, you heard from President Glickman that the first meeting of the Communication Task Force has already met. Our projections in this area relate to clarifying a number of questions and practices regarding the movement of information. Who initiates the communication? Are we sure that all communications are effectively delivered to the appropriate staff? Have we ensured that all faculty and staff have access to the communication channels? Do we communicate and act consistently, especially in the giving of directives involving policies and procedures? Is our communication with each other consistently civil and respectful? Our Communications Task Force will examine these matters and provide additional recommendations to our campus community. We are also looking for ways to incorporate diversity initiatives in our strategic planning. Again, you'll be able to read the entire document on the website shortly. I'd like to express what a privilege it has been for me to work on this document. I've become even more deeply aware of the work that each division and each person has done to contribute to our mission. The strength of our institution comes from the individual excellence of each person's work, putting into practice the shared understanding, shared leadership, and shared responsibility. The entire college has worked very hard on this project, and we are very proud of the product. Well, I kind of blew it. I'm going to go back one. We hope it's not for nothing.
mean,
And the sound isn't working.
I just don't know how we're going to do it. The Mayan calendar. The world's going to end in 2012.
Do you want me to try it with sound? I think we'll have to do without. Do what? Silent film. It's the new rage.
I don't know how we're going to do this.
Oh.
I mean, the deadline's approaching. I just don't know how we're going to do it. The Mayan calendar. The world's going to end in 2012.
Did you guys get all that? You want to come up and give a short version? No? Let's give Dr. Joanna Russell another hand for that important information. Wow, I think we're still ahead of time. But it says we're going to still take another break, and at 11:15, we're going to go to roadside showcases on campus at the various places. You have a cheat sheet in the back, and I guess everything's going to stay the same as you see it down here, except one thing with, let's see it with a show of hands. Who wants to lose weight? But Doug says it's not going to be in the low 155. It's going to be in low 242. And you don't have to bring your sneakers and everything. He's going to give you a break today. So he's going to give you some information on what's going to happen with those things. And after that, at 12 o'clock, there's going to be lunch is going to be sponsored by the Four Seas Union, and it's going to be on the second floor. So it's going to be free, and you guys can have a good time. And I have one more thing to do. I see Jim's looking at me like, But my team and your team, we're on the couch, and Jimmy Brunelli, he asked me to have you come up, and he had a little something he wanted to give you. So could you come up for a second? It's not your question. You big guy. It is. Wait, there's more. No. Wow. He started out with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they're not in it either. They're on the couch with us too. But Jimmy Brunelli wants to give this action figure of St. Louis Ram and Jerome Betts. It's an inside joke.
Thank you. I unfortunately am a big Rams fan, and I'm sure there are a lot of people here that are Rams fans, but we haven't won in like 10 years or more. Thank you. Thank you.
All those Rams fans, don't stand up. So we're going to go to the break, and after that, you can go to your respective places. Have a good day.